In this video, I'm going to walk you through BellesLink Batch Search and show you how to upload a batch and how to access your results, and also give you some tips for how to get the best results from your skip tracing searches. Before we run through that, let's talk a little bit about what's included in BellesLink Batch Search. So the results that come back from your search include up to 5 good phone numbers, and that's critical because for BellesLink phone numbers, we test each one to make sure that they are all working numbers. So any numbers that come back as disconnected or just aren't working numbers, they are eliminated from your batch results, so you know that all the numbers that come back in your batch results are working numbers, no fax numbers. That will save you a ton of time and avoid calling a bunch of disconnecteds. We also include a caller ID for every number, which is critical because it gives you some information about who that number belongs to. Often a phone number will come back and it might be a spouse's number, and the caller ID will identify that for you. So that's a bit of information. We'll also give you the phone type, whether it's landline or wireless. Our results also include an updated current address. The address you search for may be included in that person's address history, but it might not be the most current address that we have. So when you get an updated address back in a result, that is what we believe is their most current address. And that would be useful for you for mailing or any other kind of contact. Also, we return up to 5 emails in with every search. So with batch search, clean data in, it means accurate results out. So there are some really critical columns that we must have in order to perform the search. First name and last name in separate columns. Address, city, state, and zip in separate columns. Remove businesses, LLCs, and family trusts. Those types of entities cannot be searched in with a batch search. They can be searched through our single searches, and we have some formulas for doing that, such as if you want to find the registered agent of a business, you can use a premium, the business search, and then a people search. For family trust, you can use a property search and a people search, and we've got some tutorials and webinars on those processes on the exchange and on our blog. I'll include some links to that. So here are the required spreadsheet columns for your batch. First name, last name, address, city, state. We need that information for every record in order to search it. We can help you separate names if you have a full name column. So a full name such as Tom Smith, you'll have the option to say, yes, please separate my full name column into separate. And also the same for full address. If you do not have a separated address column, we can separate that for you during the processing of the file. There are some types of name combinations we cannot separate. So husband and wife names together, such as Tom and Nancy Smith, we cannot separate that accurately into first and last. Partner names, Tom Smith and Nancy Jones, cannot be separated accurately. So you will need to do those manually or use some Excel tools, some spreadsheet tools to do that. Search accuracy. Our search accuracy is above 80%, and a lot of times it's dependent on the quality of the list. So a list that you've purchased may not have quality names and addresses in it. A list you've developed yourself probably has higher quality. So list quality affects search results in a dramatic way. And you don't need to delete extra columns from your spreadsheet if you have them. We need the 7 columns, the first name, last name, and then the address columns. But if you also have other columns in your spreadsheet, you do not need to delete those before you upload your spreadsheet to BellesLink, and I'll show you how that works. We will actually use, you'll just identify for us the columns that we'll be using for the search, and we will ignore all the other columns in your spreadsheet, right? So you don't have to break apart your master spreadsheet. which can be difficult. You can create errors by doing that. So you can use your spreadsheet as it is. You're just going to identify the columns for us. And then you have the option when you get your results to have those results merged back into your original spreadsheet. So we save a copy of your original spreadsheet when you upload it with all its columns, and you can either export just the results that came back from the search, or you can export those results merged back into your original spreadsheet with all your original columns, all your original data. It'll save you a huge amount of time. All right, so let's go in and actually do a batch search. So here we are on the dashboard. When you log into your BellesLink plan, this is what it'll look like. We'll go to upload a batch. And here on the upload page, we've got a lot of instructions. You can watch the instructional video on how to set up your batch. We've also got some templates available to you if you need some help on the formatting, and then a full list of instructions. So read those and follow those. Those will help you with formatting your data and having it ready and having it produce the best possible result. So I'm going to select a file, a CSV file. And then I'm going to come to my Select a Columns page. And here I'll have the chance to identify which column I want to use for my first name and my last name. If my names were not separated and I had a full name column, I would have the option to identify that. Software is smart enough to pick up the column names that I've already got assigned. And then I do have a record ID column, which gives me a unique identifier for every record in my file. And those are all set. So I'll process that. And when I process this, I'll get this confirmation page, and I can see I've got 3 records that were processed, ready to be searched, but I have some skipped records. And when I look at that, I'll see that I've got 1 skipped record, and I can see immediately what the problem is. That record was missing a state. And so without that information, we cannot perform the search. So that when we submit that file, that record will be skipped. Of course, I could go back and just correct that and then re-upload this file before I submit. And I can just give that file a name, submit, and then batch searches can take a couple of hours. It really depends on the size of the file. Larger files will take longer. If you do a batch search in the nighttime hours or the weekend hours, it will take longer. Generally, you'll get your results back in 24 hours. So let's take a look at that. Results will come right here into batch search results, and there'll be a list of all your batches run. If you don't see a batch, it may be because the date range is too narrow and you just need to open that up. Here's a batch that I've done, and I can click to view the results. Just 2 records in this one. I can view an individual result and see the address that came back, the phone numbers, and the emails for that record. Here's where I can export my results as results only, meaning just the information that came back from the search, or if my file that I uploaded had lots of columns of extra data that I needed, that was my master spreadsheet, I can export these results and have that merged into my existing file, and that'll save you a huge bunch of time. All right, so that is batch search. Of course, if you have any difficulties with that, questions, you run into trouble, don't hesitate to contact us either by phone or by email.